back to PFI speed. The other day, a good friend reached out to me, Bill Armstrong. You guys might remember him. Cletus and I compete against him at Rocky Mountain Race Week in the stick shift class. He hit me up and said he's got a solution to get a stick shift car to launch. So, I didn't waste any time. I headed for the hills to see what kind of solution he came up with. I hope this helps some of you out there. And so you guys know, I'm not getting paid for this video. It's just a great solution, so I want to bring it to you now. Let's go. Who's this guy?
What's up, brother?
What's up, bro?
How are you? How it's laboratory.
So we got Heidi here. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic.
And it is awesome to see you. We're out here with our friend Bill, who has developed this clutch slipper valve.
All right, so
There he is.
started here with some hand-built prototypes. These are all just, all put together by hand. And then we moved to a basic printed circuit board that all had through the hole stuff. And we put them in these enclosures here.
Can I go like a little bit more basic? That like, what got you started? Like why?
So I have a stick shift car.
Yeah.
I've had it since I was 7. Well,
The fairly, right?
yes, it wasn't a stick shift all that time, but I've had the car since I was 17.
Okay.
And it's had a stick shift in it for 10 plus years. And with a street style clutch at the track, it's frustrating. You do one of 3 things. It spins the tires, it breaks parts, or it bogs. And all that's bad. I'm like, I need to come up with a way to slip the clutch. And so I experimented with some of the stuff that's out there. It slowed the whole operation of the clutch down. It did what it needed to, but if you're trying to cut a weight
Yeah.
and you dump the clutch, and it's like, that doesn't work. And it also typically interacts with every clutch actuation. When you start making a lot of power, you can't do that because it blows through the clutch on the changes. So that's kind of where this led.
That was like your thought with it, but like, what's your background with it? Like, what?
I'm not. No, I
You're
heard
just
so.
like,
Yeah,
okay.
so I had to find people way smarter than me. That's not hard to do because I'm not that smart. But
He's
but
pretty
like,
brilliant.
Like this, so I hired this kid. Lives in California. I didn't know him. He was 19 years old when I hired him. From what I understand, he graduated high school at 16. He's in a master's level electrical engineering program. He's 20 now, and he's like, he built all this. He wrote all the code for this. But then we got through that, and then we moved to, so this is a printed circuit board also, but this is called a surface mounter, an SMD, and you can see how much more compact everything is,
yeah.
right? And this can be mass produced, okay? And then it gave us the opportunity to write that on the back.
Oh, awesome.
So we started making these, and then that progressed into, like, this is one of the prototypes that we experimented with. But the code, rough calculation is we have 129 different versions of code to get to where we are today. And it took a little over a year to get there. And then the hydraulic piece started off like this. It was real big, heavy. This is pretty heavy. And then worked to this, and that's still bigger, and then ended up with this. And this portion is all off the shelf. I mean, except for our custom labeling. This is top quality Sun hydraulic stuff. It's all made in America. These are like industrial type valves. They're tested in millions of cycles. So it's good stuff from that standpoint. That was the first prototype. And then of course we have the regular enclosure. This is how it comes when you order one. You get the wiring harness. You can't see it here, but all these wires in here are labeled on the wires. So you can read it if you have. Yeah, they're printed on there. So you know what they are. And then it comes with the bleeder kit to help bleed the system. And that's got instructions too. And that's the best kit like I've discovered, at least for doing mine. It's pretty simple. And then of course the instructions. And we have the most current version of the instructions because this has changed a few times already. The most current one is on our website at all times. So
What's the website?
yeah, just bangshiftbilly.com. So, and then the operation of it. So this is the test rig. This is actually the first clutch I made an 8-second pass on. This clutch right here. Not really. I just had it and I'm like, I need a clutch, and it's laying in the garage. So,
The cool part of it.
yeah, so over here you've got the controller mounted here. Green indicates power. Blue indicates, it must be still connected to the Bluetooth on my phone. But that indicates that the Bluetooth is connected, and it doesn't have to be to work. Once you program it, you could leave your phone in the car
or whatever to.
Yeah. So
To set it up, he's got an app.
Oh.
yeah, so there's an app.
There's an app for that.
So you go to the app, and we'll make a change here. So when I make a change, if you notice on here, that green button there, not green, the green light, it'll blink twice. That indicates you that it accepted the change. And so you just set it up that way. And then the clutch switch is super important. That's not something it comes with. You gotta have that. And then this is the hydraulic release bearing. And when you dump it, it's gonna hold it for the where you
Amount of time you
adjusted
program.
it. And then we had it set for 2 seconds, which is really long.
Yeah.
If you want to melt your clutch down, set it for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
But typically it'll be a lot less, but it's easier to see here.
Yeah.
So we'll make it more typical of what you might use when you're actually drag racing. We'll go 3/4 of a second, so 0.75, and you'll see how much quicker it is.
Yeah.
So that's kind of real high level of how it works. One of the biggest things that we realized during the development of this was, how do you find that set point? Like, because otherwise you could burn up your clutch trying to find it. So we created what's called a byte screen. When you go to the byte screen, you're going to set your delay. So the delay is from the time the clutch pedal releases the button and how long it travels out. That's the delay. And that's also how far this bearing travels, being this is fully engaged. And anywhere back in here is less engaged, or it's going to be slipping. Right? So by setting the delay here, this is a one-man job. You jack the car up off the ground. When you push the clutch in and you release it, it's going to travel for that 5 milliseconds. It's holding it, and it's holding it for 15 seconds. That gives you time to hop out of the car and try to turn the tires. If you can turn the tires because the car's in gear, obviously not running, that means that the clutch isn't engaged yet. So then you would say, okay, we'll add 5 milliseconds to it. We'll make it 10 milliseconds, okay? And we'll try it again. Now you'll notice the gap is, if we measured it, the gap is slightly smaller than it was. It's closer and closer to the engagement point. Now, because I'm impatient, we're going to set this to 5 seconds because we're not actually in the car.
But I mean, that you can feel, like,
Well,
if you were to get out.
Yeah, so
That
when you
sounds
start to turn it, you'll feel, oh, I can hardly turn it. The clutch is starting to engage. So let's say you're at 10 milliseconds where you can hardly turn the tire because the clutch is starting to bite.
Yeah.
Then when you go to your launch builder screen, it carries over that delay, but you can barely turn the tires. The engine can do it instantly. So you're going to want to add 20 milliseconds, which is going to make that gap even smaller. So we'll add 20, that'll make it 30 milliseconds. And then we'll just set this to 1 second. And this is where you'll go out, and I have a video on the webpage, or on YouTube, where I tested it. I did 7 launches in the car to get it dialed in. It took 12 minutes. With an adjustable slipper clutch at the track, like, if you're really fast at doing it and you don't mind burning your hands, that would still take you all day.
Yeah.
It takes 12 minutes. So at 30 milliseconds and 1 second, you're going to see how much smaller that gap is. Can you see how much smaller it is? And that's it, and engaged. So when you try this, in your driveway or whatever, you're only going to go 3,000 or 4,000 RPM and dump it, and it's either going to slip or it's going to knock the tire off. If it slips too much, then you start raising that by say 5 milliseconds. Once it knocks the tire off, then start backing it down by 2 milliseconds. You get that sweet spot. Now keep in mind, on the driveway or radial tire or whatever, an unprepped surface, it's going to knock the tire off way sooner than it would when you're at the racetrack. So if, say, 30 milliseconds, it's slipping real nice in your driveway, it's going to be way too much slip when the track is prepped with lots of traction available. So maybe you want to try 25 milliseconds.
Just gonna
That's just kind of how you
dial it in.
And once you get it there, if you pay to subscribe, it's like $3.99 a month. You can then save your clutch tunes, and then you also have the option for this other function. And instead of a delay and hold and then a release, it'll actually do a ramp, which is much more like a slipper clutch. So if you're a boosted car and you're gonna, if you have it set for 1 second, but as soon as you dump the clutch, it's gonna be adding power within that 1 second. You're going to need to use the ramp, because otherwise if it's holding it and you're adding power, it's going to blow through your clutch. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So that's in a nutshell.
That's in a nutshell. That's awesome.
Yeah, thanks.
You can see like where this is very much needed, you know,
Well,
just to keep cars consistent, parts in the car.
I think that's the biggest piece. And
Yep.
when you look at like you guys, for example.
Yep.
I think the import scene is the most ripe for this because
Yeah.
I can buy
Yeah.
an adjustable slipper clutch for a rear-wheel drive V8 car. There's tons of options. For a Honda Civic,
Yeah, there's-
whoever thought they would make 1,000 horsepower
Plus, yeah.
and who would drag race them like they do with giant tires in the front? Nobody.
Yeah.
Certainly they didn't think about that in Japan.
No.
That's just silly. So anyway, you have a super compact clutch package in an import, but they're making so much power, and there's just not the room, to my knowledge, that anybody
To put some
slipper clutch.
mechanical
And
and
with the kind of power you're making, that
Yep.
clutch has to be wicked aggressive.
Yep.
Probably double, triple plate,
Yep.
sinter iron. It's like an on-off switch.
it really is.
So
Allow you to manage it, get off the line, and be consistent. Because, you know, most ours are strained. So once we go, we don't use the clutch again. But at the same time, that is something you touched on earlier, was you got to meet some parameters, or you set up some parameters to meet so it doesn't work like down track. You're not slipping
correct.
down
So-
track.
Yeah, so an aftermarket ECU is truly the easiest way to do it. Like on the Holly, I have it set up to meet, it has to meet 3 parameters before it activates this. And that is clutch position pressed, miles per hour less than 3, and TPS 90% or greater. If
Yep.
it sees all 3 of those, it's ready to party. And as soon as one of those parameters goes away, and in a launch situation, it's always the clutch pedal,
Yep.
goes away, then it won't work beyond that. And then once you're rolling more than 3 miles an hour, and if you're using the clutch down track, it won't work. Because
So guys with synchro boxes or anything else, stab the clutch to shift. It's not slipping
100%, yeah.
those gears. So
That's right. That's right.
that's a key.
Yeah.
Looking for that consistency and that speed and just repeatability per pass is the key to this. Is what this is going to help with for sure.
And parts breakage. Is
And parts breakage, yeah.
I
Yeah.
haven't had a stick in my car forever, but I remember when I first put it in, like I didn't know, and it was a really aggressive clutch. And I remember when we were done that day and we were trying to pull the tires off, we had a hell of a time getting them off because
Yeah.
we had bent all the lug studs on the back. We were like trying to wrestle, and it was because, man, I would dump that clutch and it was like getting rear-ended by a dump truck. It was just and it had like a 400 horsepower motor in it then. But even the lower power stuff, if you hit it with a hammer like that, it's gonna
It doesn't
break
matter.
stuff.
Yeah, it's going to break stuff. Yep.
I will say though, you won't break anything if you don't have traction. Once you get traction, that's when problems start.
Yeah.
So
And that is the game.
That's it.
Balancing it all. But this also helps with that too. Considering you're not just blowing the tires off by dumping the clutch. So that's side of it too.
But keep in mind that once you get into stick shift drag racing, where it's, you know, you're getting kind of competitive, the clutch is a consumable part.
Yep.
It just is. This isn't going to help your clutch last any longer, obviously. But it is what it is. So,
It's about the time, not the clutch.
that's right.
It's cool. Well, thank you.
All right. Thanks, Brent.
Yep. Bangshift Billy. Check it out. Made in the USA. And follow along. This is awesome. really like that. It's cool. Super clean. Tight little compact headers. Rack. LS. It's awesome.
The neon block's done. Shane's gonna pick it up in the morning. He's doing Brian's tomorrow, so I told him I'm leaving, so call you when it's done, and you can get it picked up.
Oh,
and
John
paid
is?
for. Yeah. No, I'm leaving.
No, he's doing the vlog.
Yeah.
All right. So. All right, guys. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. That green little hot rod at the end was pretty badass, so I had to include it. But I feel like that's a great solution for you guys. Drop comment below. Let me know what you guys think. Jump on our website, pfispeed.com, and pick up some merch, grab some car parts, or just send us an email. We appreciate you guys watching. Give a like, subscribe, and we'll see you guys all
Tomorrow.
tomorrow. All right, bye.